Fancy.
All right, everybody. This is the City Council workshop for the City of Bonney Lake for October 18th, 2022. Calling the meeting to order. First of all, let's salute the flag. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, Madam Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Mayor McCullough,
I'm here.
Deputy Mayor Carter,
Here.
Councilmember Baldwin,
Here.
Councilmember Evans,
Here.
Councilmember Fullerton,
Here.
Councilmember McClymans,
Here.
Councilmember Swatman,
Present.
and Councilmember Watson.
Here. Okay, looks like we do have a public hearing on the continuation of the 2023-2024 biennial budget. However, no one signed up. Has anybody signed up since this has been written? No. Okay. So I will now close the public hearing. We'll now go on to council opened. Oh, I'm sorry?
Gotta open it.
Oh, all right. The public hearing on the continuation of the 2023-2024 biennial budget is now open. Has anybody signed up? Okay, so now I will close the public hearing and we'll go on to council open discussion. Councilmember Watson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On October 6th, I was at the Community Families meeting. We had an excellent presentation, Dave Morrell, excuse me, about what he's doing for the county, including county setup for safe parking. And Paul Haria, he's district number 2, was also there when I was speaking about what he's been doing. He's brand new to the council, and a good presentation. We found out too that we still have 5 families living out of the cars. They're going to school, looking for a home for them. And we have 110 homeless kids that are going from home to home right now. So that's still an area we're looking into. We have a local person in the city that wants to help give us a spot to house some of these people and make a resource for them. So I'm working with Mary Lee and working with them, come up with something and we can come up with maybe some type of permanent location. So not being pushed around the city. Big Give is coming November 19th. So if you have participated, great. If you haven't think about it, now's a good time to go to biggive.org, I believe it is. I'm signed up as I did last year for delivering meals. I go to 5 homes and deliver them. You put them on the front doorstep and you walk away and they're all taken care of for Thanksgiving. Or you can help pack the meals also. It's a really good opportunity. Also, I was down at Hauling Gourds, and David Wells did a great job putting it all together. Had quite a few people there. Gave a lot of gourds away, a lot of awards away, including myself. I got one being down there, so it was a good program. Coming up on this Friday, it's going to rain, but we're going to have a parade for the Bonney Lake homecoming. So I'm going to take my truck in there, put my city council sticker on the side of it, and we're going to go down with a group of kids in the back of my pickup truck, and if it's too wet, they're going to get inside the truck. So there'll be quite a few people playing that, and they've got the mascot's going to be on there, so it should be a whole lot of fun. Last year was pretty wet too, and everybody, but it made it, and it's a good thing. Kids love it. It's good to support them, their homecoming parade and homecoming event, football game that night. And I think that's about all. But, you know, the council, there was an email about pumpkins and people about carving them for a contest we have going on. And our deputy mayor says, Tom, it's all yours. And I already had said I was going to do it, but who wants to help me with our pumpkin?
Are you carving it
I
tomorrow?
have the pumpkin.
Are you carving it tomorrow?
Not tomorrow. I want to carve it too soon. Working on a design for my CNC, but you got your own. You'll get around the edge here, but if you want to participate or let me some ideas, I'm all ears for you guys. So I can make a group event. So that's all I have tonight.
All right. Thank you, Councilmember
Tom,
Watson.
what time is the parade on Friday?
It's at 4 o'clock.
Well, I think staging is 3:30.
3:30.
3:30 is the staging,
Yes.
4 o'clock's parade.
And it's going from where to the school?
Going from Lowe's, that neighborhood, down to school. And if anyone wants to ride with me in my truck, we'll put a sign on the other side with your name on it. You can drive me in the truck.
I am planning on being there as well.
Oh, good.
I'll let Carrie know.
Perfect.
Oh,
He
very
knows
good.
now.
Yeah.
Okay, any other issues, any other open discussion? Councilmember McClymans.
Yeah, so I was reviewing the minutes and I had multiple discussions, I think a total of 3 actually, regarding the water billing, the water billing situation. So I'm kind of concerned about that because it's a difficult topic for the idea of fairness. What do you do with people that were billed correctly versus people that weren't billed correctly? And
Sherry's on the line.
so did we go ahead and bill everybody already that that got missed on the summer rates?
We have started billing people.
Has anybody?
And so
gotten-
far, what I've seen is that the amounts aren't at this point too alarming to most folks. It's mostly commercial.
Okay.
The ones that can afford green grass, right?
Yeah.
Well, that and the people that just moved into the brand new homes with the nice green grass. I'm like, wow, those people haven't been here very long, have they?
Exactly. So anyway, so I was kind of concerned about that and had talked to a couple of constituents and I got both sides of the story. Some constituents were like, no, the city, that's a, don't punish people with even more water, a different water bill after they've already paid it. And for some people, that's just not the right thing to do. And then for others, they would be offended if they felt like somebody was getting a break that they didn't get. So I didn't know how the rest of the council felt about that, but
Councilmember Baldwin.
I know that obviously, like in some of the conversations that have been brought up with Sherry in regards to this scenario, we have to obviously collect, the money for the things that, we need to pay for and things like that. But I just wonder if it did have heavy impacts on certain individuals, because obviously people work on budgets for the most part monthly, right? And if you get a surprise hit to your budget, or something is more that you weren't anticipating, then that could be a problem. And so I'm just wondering, are we just outright just taking the money they owe, regardless of how much it is, even if it is a maybe more larger amount than they had expected? Or are we trying to, reduce kind of the amount maybe over a certain number of months instead of just collecting a mass amount? I'm just not sure what the hit is on people locally
No, that is a good point.
that weren't charged. Yeah.
So as with, oh, sorry.
No, go ahead, Ms. Ryerson. I was going to ask Councilmember Watson to hold off until you answer that question.
Oh, all right. Thank you. So as with normal, when someone gets their bill, this one's just going to be an additional line item for the balance. They've already paid the initial lower charge. This is the, if they bumped up a tier or 2 tiers. And we're sending a note with the bill saying, if you need to make some sort of payment arrangements, call the office. So far, I've been keeping a close eye and I'm going to audit them when they're done. But I'm seeing it's mostly commercial at this point. I haven't seen anything that's been too out of the ordinary. If somebody's already had a leak adjustment approved, obviously we'll adjust that as well.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Ryerson. Councilmember Watson.
She said most what I was going to bring up, and also the other thought is too, next year when you want them to know how much your bill, the true bill, should be. So next year when their billing comes out, they're going to say, why is it so much? Well, and it's just commercial, but why is it so much higher? Well, then they remember what happened this year with it too. So, but they've said already they're going to work with the customers. If they want to make payments and stuff, they'll take care of them that way.
Yeah.
It won't be a service charge or anything.
And correct me if I'm wrong, Ms. Ryerson, but we did have a discussion with Stephanie about how we are redoing the bills so that they are a lot more consumer friendly. as far as how to read them and see what the usage is. And
January
so
should
it'll
be a
break
lot.
it down a lot better.
January should be our big change. I can be able to read what's going on.
Right.
So,
Okay, Councilmember Fullerton.
you'd asked, oh, I'm sorry. I thought you wanted me to respond.
Sherry, yeah.
You had asked Stephanie to give an update next week. So she's going to give an update about our changing process to a monthly bill. It's still on the plans to do, and she'll be able to give an update probably with Todd Tandecki next week for you.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Fullerton?
Yeah, that was actually my question was when we were, because I thought we were supposed to start January 1st of 2022 going to a monthly billing. And so I was just going to see if that had happened yet. But I do have a problem with charging like a back payment, especially, you know, according to Councilmember Swatman last workshop, that our bills stay the same, but then the water bills go up in the summer. And so if we're not in the red because we didn't charge those people over the summer, then I don't see why we would go backwards and say, oh, by the way, we forgot to charge you, so it's your fault and you have to pay this now. I kind of have a problem with that because I feel like people are already complaining about the water enough, and then we're going to go back and pay some, you know, charge people back payments. That's my understanding.
Oh, I'm sorry. Councilmember Evans?
If I'm correct, Sherry, this was just the gap from the 10 CFF that were already being billed for. So if you use 12 CFF and we're at what, $5.50, $6 per CFF after that, and they use 12 on their monthly, it would be like a $8 to $10 difference. It's not that they didn't get billed, it's they didn't get billed for the difference between what the allowable cost is and the increased rate of excess beyond the 10 CFFs per month that they're allocated.
For the record, it's a
but-
CFS standard.
But it's the summer rates. I mean, it's
Centum cubic feet.
because we charge them more in the summertime. And so,
Beyond that 10. So, and that rate that I had now was $5 or $6, I think, is that. Now, yeah.
Right. It's not a quantity thing. It's the summer surcharge. It's specifically there to discourage people from using too much water, right? It's a strategy to ensure that people don't just simply use a tremendous amount of water because, you know, the peak water usage of the system is critical to its rateability over a period of time.
Ms. Ryerson, you wanted to address that?
Yeah. So I kind of wanted to explain the process one more time, just so that the council understands. I've been trying to think about how to explain this in a more clear and concise method. Councilmember Swatman will have you believe that we are just flush with money and that we're just billing at a higher rate. The problem is when your water utility, you set the rate based upon your needs. So if you need, say, $1 million, we need more than that, but let's say you need $1 million, and 2/3 of the people pay into that $1 million what they're supposed to. The other third doesn't. Well, what's going to happen? I still need $1 million, and now I'm short. Say I only have $750,000. Well, that $250,000 that I'm short, now all of the utility users, even the ones that already paid their full share, are now going to have to pay for that. So that's why it's imperative that you bill these out so that you're not making, when we reset the rates, the ratepayers that already paid their fair share, they're not getting charged a higher rate because now we're short $250,000.
Councilmember Evans.
Does that make a little more sense?
It was 500
Yeah.
last council meeting. Now it's only
Correct me if I'm
No,
wrong.
it
I
is
mean,
fine. It is estimated to be 500. I'm just giving numbers to try to make it easy to
Oh,
understand.
we're changing, yeah. Plus or minus $250,000.
No, it is. I estimate it's going to be about 500,000. I'm trying to come up with numbers to make it easier for everyone here to understand the problem with not back billing.
But I think if the council had the accurate numbers, they could make, you know, a more informed decision.
well, here's my question.
I'll have accurate
Is it a
numbers once
decision
we
that we
put
are
them all
making?
together.
This is not a question before us. This is something
Well,
that
so
we've
it
already
could
studied.
be though, Councilmember Evans. So here's the deal, and I will sponsor a piece of legislation that retroactively eliminates the summer rates for 2022 if the council wants to do that. And I don't think a majority of the council does.
I'm just
Right.
saying right now.
That would be
it's
super
not-
simple. What's wrong with that? Would you sign on to that piece of legislation?
No, I would not.
Okay.
Because the usage was there.
Okay.
No, we're not talking about usage. We're talking about surcharge. That's the contentious
On
thing that we
the-
had.
On the what? On the
Surcharge.
usage.
They paid the usage.
Summary.
They didn't pay the surcharge.
It's
They didn't
still
pay the
agreed upon
summer
contract
penalty.
amount that when someone signed up for the water, that was what was there. I mean,
Right.
we've had this discussion many, many times.
Right.
You're not attempting to change your mind. You're not going to effectively change mine.
Right.
But if we're going to do a water study and we're already going to be $500,000 in the hole on that,
No, you're not, because you didn't look at those numbers either, because I looked at them yesterday.
All right.
And so for revenue for your utilities, which include water, sewer, street, all your enterprise funds in 2020, you have a budget, right? So you have a number that you go by and you say, I'm going to make $20 million. About what it comes in at that particular year was budget, right? So what did you bring in 2020? You brought in $25 million, So please identify the year where you had a budgetary shortfall. You don't, because you don't budget for the maximum amount. You budget conservatively. So there's not going to be a delta between what you budgeted and what you are receiving in revenue. You're not going to find a delta within $500,000 like that. So it's not an issue. This is
Spoiler
an
alert.
unrecovered revenue. This is revenue that you could get.
It's-
That yes, if you want to go out there and hang the taxpayers upside down by their little feet and shake them until you can get every penny out of them, you can do that,
Okay.
right?
Point of order,
Can-
Councilmember
can I-
Swami.
Is there a
We're
point of order,
done.
Mr. Mayor? Why am I done?
No, we're not done.
Because we're getting abusive. And that is not, no. When you use analogies like that, no.
Why is
We're
that?
going to conduct
Why is
this,
that
we're going to
incorrect?
conduct this
Are you going
meeting
to
in order.
Are you
And
going to
Madam
time me about free
Parliamentarian
speech
has
rights?
been trying to address, and you're over talking everybody.
I'm not over talking anybody, Mr. Mayor. You gave me the floor.
I gave you the floor. We've had two people
Did you
who have
stop
tried.
me from the floor? This is a workshop. You don't want to have a discussion on the floor? You campaigned on water rates. You are sitting in that chair.
And we are
because
working on that,
The
Councilmember
people said
Swatman.
that water rates would change with you in that seat.
Yes, and we are working
You
on that.
agreed that we
See,
didn't
you're
need
talking
to-
over me, Councilmember Swatman.
You're not giving me
my
the opportunity
sentence.
to just talk.
Okay, may I finish a sentence?
Sure.
Okay, we are working on the utilities. We still haven't gotten the rate study back. As we have discussed, we are going through with many ways of trying to attack this. Your point has been made. It does not need to be beaten into the ground. And we do have other people that wish to speak, and we have a full meeting to get through, Councilmember. Swatman.
That's fine, Mr. Mayor, but you agreed that you did not want to go back and retroactively bill taxpayers.
in
There
discussion
wasn't-
in what we call dicta, but that does not mean that it is what we are going to do, that we are here for a full discussion on the matter.
Well, it just
Now,
wasn't your
you have made
preference.
some accusations here that and speculation that has not been addressed or has not been any sort of hypothetical that we have put forward onto the meetings yet. So this discussion is not productive anymore.
I'm not aware of any accusations. that
I disagree with that. This is the only time I get to know what these other council members think.
And
And wait, excuse me?
Oh, yes,
Excuse me?
you're right.
Okay, thank you. It's the only time I get to know what they think, and I also know how they'll work, right? Because it's hard to know how to make policy, especially when it's a council. And, I don't want to guess, right? But I want to make a good decision. Water rates are important in this city.
Oh,
The way we bill is important. And this is all part of that discussion, which is why I brought the topic up again, because I really wanted to understand, especially tonight, we're going to vote to approve a whole bunch of extra money.
Yes.
Out of what fund?
and
The water fund.
enterprise.
yes,
Yeah,
and
for water.
Ms. Ryerson can answer that. Or
It'd be the water fund. I think I can wrap this up pretty easily by giving you the spoiler alert. FCS gave us kind of a high-level overview on where we're at on our water rates, and there is likely an increase. So we do not have enough funds at this point to maintain the level of service and the projects set ahead of us. So that would mean that that 500,000 would increase the rates. FCS is going to do a presentation, but they kind of went over the rates and made sure we're on the right track, and that's where we were at last time we talked.
And again, we're literally talking about two different things, because again, you don't budget for and miss your budget. We have never missed our budgetary number for revenues. We've always came in excess of our budgetary numbers. So there's room there.
Okay. And our deputy city attorney, did you have a comment?
I did. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My understanding, Ms. Kathleen Haggard, I believe, researched this more than I did, and I think talked to Ms. Ryerson about it. But I'm fairly confident that the city has a legal obligation to recoup any if there is an underpayment of the utility. I think under state law that the city can't waive that.
Well,
So.
Which is, yeah, oh, yes, Councilmember Swabman.
Mr. Mayor, thank you. Of course, the legislative authority can do things retroactively.
Okay.
That's clear, correct? This council could say, you know what, we're not going to bill for water for the year 2020. You know.
Well, one of the things we do have happening on November 1st, if everything goes through the council and everything is approved, is that we do have our new contracted city attorney who will be starting. And this is certainly an issue that we can bring up to them as far as the legality of the back billing, even though I believe Ms. Haggard is more than likely correct, but more eyes looking on it would certainly do us some favors. Councilmember Fullerton.
Yeah, so then can we make legislation to stop any further summer fees on water? I mean, if our water rates are going to go up and we have no control over this, every single one of us ran on trying to do everything that we could to lower the water rates. And now we're finding that possibly they're going to go up no matter what we do. So is there a way to, at the very least, give some reprieve for all of the citizens of Bonney Lake and at least not do triple water rates in the summer from here on out, period? Or is that a state thing that we absolutely have to do triple rates in the summer?
Mr. Vodopich, have we gotten any word on when our study is going to be ready? I heard 6 weeks about 4 weeks ago.
I believe Sherry and I reached out to them today. I don't know if
Okay.
we got back to us yet.
Okay. And so we should probably hear about the study and then react to what the study has to say.
Yeah.
And Councilmember Watson.
I was just going to say, I think the study may have actually included looking at either getting rid of those tiers as one of the options.
Yeah.
So that would be how it may be presented to us as well.
Yes. Or
An increased overall or a less increase with the tiered rates. It'll be a few different options for us to look at.
or decreased marginal spending. There's various ways that this would come about. And Councilmember McClymans, I do absolutely agree with you as far as the discussions that we have here, and I don't want to suppress anybody's opinion when it comes to that.
Very good.
All right. Anyway, did you have
Mayor?
another comment?
I had it.
You still appointed.
Oh, Councilmember Watson.
Was courteous to live hand talk. Thank you. Even though Sherry and the rest of them may have an increase in our water rates, we as a council will make our final decision how much we want to raise it. Last time we did the study 5 years ago, they won, I believe, 10%. What it was, something like that.
10 and 12.
10 and 12. And through a long discussion, we got down to 4%.
Yeah, which is why there's going to be another.
That's what another rate increase. So you will have the opportunity to keep the rates as reasonable as possible, but still pay our bills. That's our have an obligation. Our water is separate from the city, and that's all. Water and sewer is a separate entity, it has to pay for itself, and that's what we have to keep in mind. I understand that the summer going on, you think they should not be charged for it, and I would agree with you. When I ran a retail store, if I charged somebody $10 for a $100 TV, oh, so bad, so sad, they get the TV, normally speaking. But we have an obligation to our citizens to pay for our bills and what it costs to run the city. And we had, at that time, when we did the rates before, those summer rates would help keep the water usage down because the cost of, like you're seeing here tonight, coming up, increased Tacoma water because they're using more water, and that's more expensive for us too. So I would like to agree with you, but it's not the logical thing for us to do because we failed to charge. And that Sherry's bringing up several, it's only businesses pretty much that be in charge. I'd be curious when Sherry gets through it, how many citizens are charged compared to businesses. So most of the businesses should be able to afford it, I would think. And that's money they know what they owe us and should pay it back to city at their convenience because we're willing to work with them for that.
Yeah, thank you, Councilmember Watson. Councilmember Evans.
Sherry, when my numbers might be a little fuzzy, but you said $500,000, about 5,000 people. Is that, and majority of those being commercial?
A lot more than five.
Yeah, it was about 5,000. No, it was 5,000 people that were affected. 1,600 of them are city residents. The rest are outside city. And I've been keeping an eye on auditing the spreadsheet. So I was actually just popping over to look to see if we've got the city customers done yet, but it doesn't look like we do.
Do you know about what percentage of that would be commercial?
Not off the top of my head.
Okay, thanks. Do we have any for? Oh, Councilmember Lyons.
So I'm curious, why do you single out commercial, Councilman?
Well, she mentioned it, so I was just curious what that ratio was.
Okay.
If it was significantly higher on commercial, or how they get into summer rates on some of those things because they don't typically have lawns. But yeah, she mentioned most of it was commercial. I was wanting to see what that breakdown was. The reason specifically is if we're going to suspend that for 15,000, then why not give every one of those 15,000 people $100 credit? That way it's equal. Because right now that's basically what we're doing for these 5,000 individuals is 5,000 or roughly whatever that calculation is, 250 maybe. I'm not, 250 per individual.
And Councilmember McClymon.
Yeah, so if I understood what Councilman Swatman was suggesting is that if we would retroactively remove the surcharge for the summer, that would credit everybody who paid the surcharge. And then therefore citizens who weren't billed correctly and those that got the credit would be even, right? Would have been fairly dealt with. And that is a piece of legislation that the council could pass, I believe. Is that correct?
That would be a nightmare for my staff, trying to figure out. Right now we have a spreadsheet. We know who we underbilled, but we have no spreadsheet saying this is who we billed. We'd have to manually go into every account and figure out who went over the 10 CCF and who didn't and remove those summer rates on 16,000 people.
Yeah, to be clear, I wasn't suggesting that. I'm trying to understand.
They're doing that now, forward looking, right? So it's not any worse.
We're not. We have a spreadsheet that we're working from. We knew how many people were underbilled, but we would have to literally go into the accounts to get that off of there.
Because not everyone was underbilled. There was only a fraction that were underbilled. It wasn't that it was missed on all of them. It was just missed on a portion.
Right.
Yeah.
About a third.
Okay, Councilmember Baldwin.
Is the surcharge necessary in the summer in order to meet like budgetary guidelines? In order to actually meet the financials, is that necessary? Summer charging?
So I'm assuming you want me to answer this one?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry. It's hard. And especially, it's weird. I have my glasses on. I can't see you now.
I'm actually looking
don't
at
ask
you,
me.
but it's really hard to tell. Yeah.
I can see you looking at me now.
Oh, she can't.
No, I'm kidding. So yes, when the rates are put together, the prior councils, even before my time, came up with this tiered summer rate to help some of the citizens that don't water and also to conserve. It was an effort, I think you remember probably 10 years ago when there was a lot of, hey, conserve water, don't water. So it was a way to try to get consumers to conserve. It was also a way to charge those that were watering more or using more water than, say, their next door neighbor or their senior citizens that were really trying to conserve and make sure that they couldn't. So the rates are built upon, we need X amount of dollars, and the only way you can change that is if you eliminate some of your projects or eliminate some of your other expenses. So if you know you need X amount of dollars and all of the ratepayers have to pay that amount, yeah, your rate was built upon that summer rate study. As Councilmember Evans explained, the new rate study we're going to propose will have removal of the summer rates at the request of a lot of you. However, that may increase some people's base rates. So those are going to be options that are presented to you to decide what you feel is most appropriate.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Councilmember Watson.
just,
Oh, I just had a follow-up question to that then. And I wasn't even sure if the 20 million versus 25 million were hypotheticals or not. It is or it isn't?
That's all the enterprise funds.
Okay. I guess I'm just curious that if we are going for a minimum and then we're usually over, are you suggesting then that we use some of those funds, I guess, those excess funds, or?
Because, it's a parallel thing, right?
Yeah.
There's two ideas going on. You need to correctly, as Sherry points out, she's not wrong. She's telling you how to do accounting and how to do it correctly by the book. And then there's a philosophical question of, whoops, we made an error. Do we need to go back and really recover that error? Well, yeah, you should, right? You should go back and correct that error. Do you have to? Is the
Well, and that, see, it's more than philosophical. It is legislative. We, according to
that's why
Haggard, who did who did the research, is that it's our duty to do it.
And that's why I offered up, Mr. Mayor, to a piece of legislation to fix that.
Yes. And Councilmember
May I make an
McClymons.
observation? So when I hear it's our duty, I don't hear that it's legally binding, right?
But it is legally binding at this point unless we change the law.
Right.
Well, I understand it's legal, because I understand there's other places where you can't privilege one group versus another when it comes to this sort of billing.
Right.
And I understand that, and I've seen that before, so I'm familiar with it. But when we use terms like duty, that's different than legally binding in my ears. I'm just letting you know, right?
Okay.
Because I'm like, oh, if you say duty, I go, okay, well, it's to be a good administration and city, as opposed to, no, the state very clearly says everybody pays for what they use.
Okay.
Fairly, right? And that's what I heard council tell me.
Mr.
And,
Mayor,
I'm sorry.
originally, I passed on, so I had been waiting to come back to you.
Yes, Councilmember Watson.
As a citizen in Bonney Lake, I don't want to pay higher rates than my water rates because we are raising the summer rates higher because some people, like in other areas that require green lawns in the area, are using a lot more water.
Yeah.
We have to, as I mentioned already, we have to use Tacoma water, which is more expensive. So if we're not raising the rates in summer to help bring those usage down to some people, that means I have to pay more to pay for our water in our city. And I won't agree with that when we come to it, because you got to think about the big picture altogether. Why are we, way back when we had signs out telling people not to use water, put them up in the street corners all the time because it was so much expensive using Tacoma water. So we've established that summer rate so everybody who doesn't use too much won't pay too much. The ones that want to use a lot more water are paying that water, especially like what Sherry's talking about for businesses. Some are required to use a lot of water in their facilities and stuff. They should cover that. So you have to think about why we're charging more in the summer and why we charged last year, because it's expense to us. And as a citizen, if you don't want to charge that $500,000 to those people, you're going to make me pay for it, I'm going to fight you tooth and nail then, because it doesn't make any sense, because that comes all out of our pockets.
It does indeed. There are a couple questions with that you brought up some interesting points, Councilmember Watson, especially in the history of why there hasn't been prior ordinances of mandating when you can water and when you can't, as opposed to just suggesting it.
We have fine billboards when up.
However, that is getting off topic, and we need to compact this issue into just the the error that we made as far, and what we do about back charging our citizens. So, anyway, I believe we've thoroughly discussed that topic. Do we have anything else? Oh, Councilmember Watson.
Separate subject, Mr. Mayor?
Did I?
Separate subject.
Oh, yeah.
May I?
Yes.
Okay, so we did have the meeting for the wastewater treatment plant, annual council meeting of a couple council and major staff folks down there in Sumner. Just wanted to advise the council because that way I don't have to give it at the next council meeting. Had a great meeting down there with those folks, and all the people that make that run. So, the wastewater treatment plant is, of course, ongoing, doing upgrades and so forth like that. You'll see some of it coming up down here in your budgetary stuff. And of note, of course, that agreement is 10 years old now or something like that. And
Yes.
they're talking about, looking at it again, just
Yes.
because it has a bunch of stuff in it that's basically archaic. It has some stuff in it that's, shall do these reports and deliver them on stone tablet thing that doesn't really apply anymore. So they're thinking it's online. They can just go online and look at it. There's all kinds of little things in there that they might tweak. So there is that window, and that's why I mentioned that hopefully the administration and others of interest will take a close look at that because, there is sewer is one of our areas that is a utility that's very expensive.
Absolutely. And on that subject, and I believe Councilmember Evans can back this up, but that was one of the things that we did talk about with the new city attorney that we're bringing in. They have a lot of experience in negotiating those interlocal agreements, and we plan on
good.
using that.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Any more open discussion before we move on? Okay. So seeing no other open discussion, we now have a review of the council minutes. Councilmember Watson.
We had some corrections, and Councilmember Evans also pointed out one that I missed too, so we had it well
What?
covered. Yes.
Can that be done?
It says 4-1, and all council members voted for it, so we changed that.
All right. Thank you, Councilmember Watson. Okay. Now we go on to go on to our third round of decision card presentations. We'll try and get through as many of these tonight. And then what we are not able to get discussed will go on to the October 11th. 11th? Yeah, we're past October 11th. Would that be next week that we're speaking?
We hope to get through all of them tonight.
Okay, let's hope so. All right, Mr. Vodkovich, the floor is yours.
Councilmember Swatman's laughing at me. All right, so we're doing our capital improvement fund lists, projects fund list tonight for general government fund, water fund, and the sewer fund. So we'll start off with the general government CIP fund. The first one on the list is the asbestos remediation and demolition of the old Public Works Center, the old City Hall site, and ancillary buildings once the Public Services Department fully vacates that property and moves to the new Public Services Center. Just as a side note, move-in did start this week, so some folks are transitioning their way over to that new building. One thing I do want to make clear is this is just asbestos remediation and demolition. This is not mass grading, and this is not turning the site into a parking lot.
Oh, yes, I do understand that. Hopefully they are getting out of the asbestos.
I hope so too.
Any discussion on the matter before we take a vote? Councilmember Swatman.
Yeah, thank you very much. So just a reminder for myself and others, probably, it's a kind of a budgetary number, right? So it's kind of like a not to exceed idea type of thing, possibly, right? It's a super duper good guess. It might come in cheaper, it might come in right around there, right? So that's kind of what the work is for that. Definitely, in my mind, needs to be done. Obviously, you have some buildings over there that we need to get out of there. So I'm a yes.
Okay. Any further discussion before we take a vote? Councilmember McClymans.
Yeah, how do we know how did we estimate the cost for the asbestos? Are we sure?
Ms. Ryerson, do you have an answer for that?
No, actually,
No, actually, I don't want to take that one, but I do have a quick commentary about the budget so that everybody knows. This would come out of the general government CIP, as John had mentioned. I estimate you will end 2022 with 1.3 million, and currently estimate without these expenses, you will end 2024 at 1.9 million in that fund.
Hey, Councilmember Evans, do you have a comment? Oh, Councilmember, did that.
About
We were gonna,
He's still gonna get his question.
Well, it was like the asbestos is like $30,000, and I would have expected it to be, I was shocked it was that low.
Just real quick, and we can get more into the weeds if you'd like, but we got quotes from vendors who provide these services.
Okay.
Okay, anything further? Councilmember Evans.
Have there been any discussions on the Historical Society?
yes. That certainly would come into play. So one of the things that you'll see later on your decision cards is the modular. So we have the triple wide modular that's up at the Public Works Center. So it's either, they could possibly move into that if we leave the modular where it is up at the old City Hall site, or if we were to move it downtown as is being proposed, they could possibly move into there.
And then can we?
But no, we will not tear it down before we have a home for
No. Okay.
We've assured Mark Hamilton that.
And can we sell the turf on the roof?
Yeah, right.
We're
gonna move
It's a green roof.
Any further commentary before we take a vote?
Baldwin had something.
Oh, Councilmember Baldwin.
Okay, I just want to make sure that I understand that the old buildings
Buildings, yes.
are going to be, they're going to have abatement treatment, but also be demoed, but because it says prior to the demo. I just want to make sure I'm reading that right. Okay.
Okay, so we're ready to take a vote to accept the asbestos demo old PWC I don't need to say decision card. All in favor of accepting the asbestos demo, say aye.
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 All opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, looks
All
like it's
right,
been
the-
approved.
Next one we have is HVAC duct cleaning at the Public Safety Building.
Oh, duct. I
Duct.
thought we were cleaning ducts. Any discussion?
The police station for.
Police
federal
station, yeah.
law.
Police and fire, yeah.
Okay.
Public safety.
Councilmember Watson.
Why is this not being done on a regular basis? Why do we have such a huge bill at one time? I would think it should be done every year or two, at the very least.
I do not know if it's ever been done.
I'll take a stab at it and then let Jack chime in. But basically, it's pretty much a fixed cost because you have to do the whole system at one time. You don't do certain portions of it because then you're going to risk cross contamination with areas.
It's
that
not
haven't
cheaper
cleaned
doing it
or
like every year than,
What's that?
not any less expensive, do it every year than what you're doing now. This is just a normal charge for it. Okay, thank you.
Okay, do we have any further discussion before we take a vote? Okay, all in favor of accepting the public safety building duct cleaning, say aye.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Carter, did you say aye as well? I missed you on the last one.
Yes, I did on both.
Okay, any opposed? Any abstention? Okay, looks like it's been accepted.
All right, the next one is the former rental house we have just across the street over here on 89th. If you'll recall, that property was vacated a number of months ago. The costs to rehabilitate that structure were too excessive, and we decided that rather than trying to fix it up and put it back into the rental pool, we would demolish it. And so again, this is asbestos remediation if necessary and demolition of that house on 89th.
Any discussion? Oh, Councilmember
I would
Watson.
like, this needs to be done because we are seeing people living over there several times, calling the police to come out. So it's a real issue for us. It needs to be resolved.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, we're ready to take a vote? All in favor of accepting the asbestos demo on 89th house, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, looks like unanimous as well.
All right, the next one we have up is replacement of the elevator doors in this building. In May of this year, we had our annual inspection and were informed that the doors on the elevator are obsolete, and if they were in need of repair, we wouldn't be able to get parts. Parts wouldn't be readily available, and so we're proposing to replace the doors in the elevator in this building.
Has anybody gotten stuck or fallen?
Actually, we have. I remember early on, we had at least 2 instances of where people have gotten stuck.
Okay, was it you, Mr. Waterpitch? Because
No, actually, it was a firefighter and his young son was one of them. So,
Oh, that's ironic.
Councilmember Watson.
Well, and I do remember us having the problems from the beginning with that elevator. I know we went through and repaired a lot of, there's no warranty or extended warranty we bought for that when we did that. I thought we did something different to help keep it
well,
going.
keep in mind this building's 20 years old.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Okay.
No, we are well beyond any warranty
Okay.
periods.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
but obsolete, you would think they would keep elevator door parts around for more than 20 years.
Why? They can get 35,000 for 1,500.
For a new set of doors.
Yeah, there you go. All right. Any further discussion before we take the vote?
Do elevators really need doors?
Now that's philosophical.
Councilmember McClymons, then we'd have to hire an elevator operator. Going up, going down.
Get the hat.
Yeah.
Sadie's on the next floor above that. She can actually take care of that for us.
There we go.
Little Bell.
All right, let's take a vote. All those in favor of accepting the JMC elevator door replacement, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No abstentions either. Looks like that's unanimous as well.
All right, senior center painting. This was something that we had proposed last budgetary cycle and was not funded, and we're proposing it again this year. Interior and exterior painting of the senior center.
I think all were witness last week of our very enthusiastic citizen who is in favor of having the senior center painted. Any further discussion on the matter? All right, Councilmember Swatman.
Yeah, we're just wondering, and I think Councilmember Baldwin pointed it out, this split across 2 years. I had a question, why is it split? Is that just because it doesn't, actually, one of them doesn't need to be done in 23-20? How is that?
We just splitting up the projects, interior and exterior.
I didn't know if,
1 year and then the second.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
One would be interior and then the next year would be exterior. I would presume we could bid it all as one package and see.
yeah, that's what I was wondering, because if it's one
Get it all
budget
done.
and you get it, one contractor, if there's any ability to save monies by doing it all at once, or if it was like one of those issues where, no, we, don't need to do that, we need to wait another year because but you guys can work that out. You'll have $60,000 in the budget, right?
Okay, we're ready to, Councilmember Baldwin.
So I guess, is that realistic then if we were to, do both just in one fell swoop and then a vendor would charge us less for doing everything
Quite
all at one
possibly.
time?
Quite possibly, because you'd have one firm rather than two. You wouldn't have two mobilizations coming in. So yes, I mean, possibly. there
So,
could be
but
a-
in the making of the decision right now for saying yes, because I'm definitely for the painting of the senior center, I'm just not sure if I'm for it being split into 2 years
we
without
will bid
knowing.
it as one project and see what we
Okay.
get.
Okay.
Good
Okay.
decision.
And it's a biennial
that
budget,
being-
so as long as it's approved, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, let's take it to a vote.
Wait, wait.
I'm sorry, Councilmember Fullerton.
I was just wondering, also, so if when you're doing the exterior paint, because I actually have looked at that building and it's quite terrifying, to say the least. So will they be doing repairs on some of the rotted wood and things like that when they're painting? Is there going to be some replacement of the siding and things like that when they do the painting? Does that include some repair?
Yeah, they're going to.
That's correct. We'll be looking at the actual exterior and interior needing improvements. We can do that internally with staff also, but yes, we'll be taking care of all of that.
Okay, do we think we're going to need more in the budget if there's a lot of repairs that need to be done?
I guess it depends on what we see.
Mm.
But at that time, we could bring it forward and have a discussion with them.
Okay, thank you.
Ryan, are you and Jack going to rock, paper, scissors to decide what color it's going to be?
I'm all out of picking colors from the Public Services Center, so I think I'll just leave it to Jack.
I prepared the budget, I vote pink.
Question.
Councilmember Clements. So would we schedule this for after all the demo work that goes on around it so that, just checking.
Yeah, that's
Okay, well, let's take it to a vote. All in favor of accepting the senior center interior exterior painting, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, looks like that passed unanimously as well. I saw Deputy Mayor Carter say aye.
All right, roofing repairs at the existing public safety building, the police and fire station. I think as many of you have known, we've had issues with that roof before, and pretty much every year Mike's up there patching leaks in the roof and trying to keep it watertight or watertight.
Okay, any discussion on the matter? Okay, all in favor of accepting the public safety building roof repair, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that's unanimous as well.
All right, on 192nd, the road that runs by Walmart there, we have a property that we acquired for the eventual use of a future stormwater pond. There's an old mobile home on the property. But again, like the house on 89th, has become an attractive nuisance, and we're proposing to get rid of that mobile home.
I don't think there's anything attractive about it, Mr. Waterpitch. Anyway,
I
any
believe that's what
discussion
they
on
call
the
it,
matter?
attractive nuisances.
Okay, let's take it to a vote. All in favor of accepting the asbestos demo trailer on 192nd, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, unanimous.
All right, on to our water fund. The first one we have is the modular move. As I mentioned earlier, there's the triple wide modular up at the existing Public Works Center. The move of this unit would be split between water, sewer, and the stormwater fund. We're proposing to move it over on 89th, where we currently have the glass recycling bin, kind of like straight across from where we are now. And as I mentioned, this might be a potential location for the Gig Harbor Historical Society, or the, sorry. Man, I've been gone for 16 years and I said Gig Harbor.
Okay, Councilmember Baldwin.
That's funny. Is there a possible way that this modular home, this triple wide modular home, can remain where it's at, and then just the historical society can just use it where it is instead of moving it?
Yeah, and that certainly would be another option, is just leaving it stay put where it is. In the grand scheme of things, we are proposing to keep, what's referred to as the green sewer building up there. So that big building that's right next to it will remain, since the other buildings are being demolished. So yeah, that's certainly a possibility, is they could just stay there.
Is there reason for, I guess, the move of it?
Oh, reason for the move is in the master plan, the parks master plan, the overall Allen York Park master plan. That area is identified as a parking lot and an off-leash dog park area.
Right.
And granted, again, I know there's discussions ongoing about whether or not we fulfill that Allen York Park master plan and actually build all of those amenities. But in the grand plan, that area was to become a parking lot and off-leash dog park.
Yeah.
Councilmember Evans had his hand up.
But to that same point, our downtown plan shows that that's going to be a civic center.
That's true.
Yeah,
that's
So
true.
spending that money, I don't think is wise. What about, I know this is piggybacking off the relo of the Gig Harbor Historical Society. But at one point we proposed, or it was proposed by them or someone, the house at Victor Falls Park. Is that still an option?
That certainly would be an option. We don't have a cost on that. The issue with that would be making it ADA accessible. And so there would be some, tenant improvements that we would have to do at that house to make it an accessible public facility.
I thought it was a private house as it was.
Well, we actually own it.
Oh, okay.
We own it, and it's in our lease pool.
I see. Yeah. I didn't know that.
I
Learn
did
something
not
new every day.
Yeah.
Um,
So for that, I would rather spend the money, $189,000, making that work, because that will be a long-term physical facility for that. It's in a historic place. It's has a lot of value to it. I don't know if the size, or if we have to expand and do something else on there, but it wouldn't be something that would be temporary by having to put it in the middle of a civic center.
Okay, Mr. Johnson.
If I could quickly just add a data point there, certainly leaving it, as we've discussed, on site is an option. There is still probably would be, I need to double check this, but we do have a ramp that makes that building ADA compliant, but I don't know about some of the surfacing around it. The road that goes around it on three sides is actually a gravel road. And so I'm not sure, but we would just need to make sure and take a look at what other additional improvements may be necessary in order to facilitate it being a public building. Just a thought. I don't know for sure what that is yet. And then perhaps some changes to the fencing out there. But do keep in mind that originally all of this was scheduled to be a parking lot. So, we were already giving up a little bit by keeping the sewer building a bit more, which I'm totally fine with, but just to think of on.
Well, it sounds like we'd have to bring somebody in to inspect it to give us what we would need to improve to make it ADA compliant.
Our building inspection staff can handle that.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, Councilmember Watson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Excuse me. I don't see why we spend $180,000 on recouping a building that's falling apart as it is. You could probably put a garden on the roof right now up there, you know.
On the
On-
modular?
On the modular, isn't there?
Modular's in good
No?
shape.
Okay.
This is the new one.
I still, we've talked about before, to have the old building at Victor Falls be a historical society. They've kind of kicked around as an idea. We could spend $180,000 to fixing that up and give our renter a notice that they need to move out and move forward that sometime this year, possibly. Make sure the historical society wants to do that. I think I would approach them first to what they want to do, but that's what we've talked about since we brought the property. That would be a logical spot for them. They could see it. They could talk about what's going on there. A great parking lot for them. I mean, why are you going to put their facility, the building over here on this, where the glass is over there? We don't have a problem with the kids' house, but you've got a lot of transits going through and problems that area too. So I have concern where we're going to move it and fix it up and not do we want to do in the whole scheme of things.
Okay, Councilmember Swami.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So did I miss what the 180 kind of composed of? Because I didn't completely understand just for.
You know, it was picking it up and moving it. It was clearing, grading the existing site over here with asphalt, stormwater management, site restoration, the cost to move it, HVAC removal and reinstall and recharge, and then the sewer and water connections.
Okay, yeah.
Establishing
right,
the sewer and water.
That makes sense. Yeah, I would agree with others' comments that maybe it needs some more thought around it, whatever it is, because, it seems to be usable where it is or what we do with it. I don't know. I think a great idea is Historical Society. I don't know about the Gig Harbor thing, but Bonney Lake could probably fit in there pretty well. So maybe there's room for multiples. It's great to get those folks together.
Ms. Ryerson, Councilmember Fullerton had her hand up first.
So I was just wondering if we,
That's one.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay. I was just wondering if we did leave that building, would that be something that the senior center could possibly use as like,
Overflow space. Sure.
like overflow space? And does it have a kitchen? I mean,
think so.
they're saying that they're kind of busting at the seams and their kitchen's not adequate.
This is, you're
what I
talking the
heard
senior
last
center.
week. So, yeah, the senior
Oh,
center.
you
I mean,
said-
isn't it next door to the senior center? Isn't it close by? Yeah.
Yeah, it's close by, but there is no kitchen in it. There's 2 restroom facilities, and then I believe 3 or 4 offices. But it's not demised for classrooms or educational space, such as the lady that was speaking to us last week.
Okay. So they wouldn't necessarily, they could maybe use it as a dance floor or something for a party, but it wouldn't
You
work
would ADA
on a
consent.
daily basis for what they need.
Yeah, I don't think it would be a good backup
This
for
might
the
have just
senior center.
ramp or
Ms. Ryerson, did you have a comment?
There's one ramp on.
Yeah,
Deputy
so
Mayor, I believe
hearing,
Oh, no, go ahead, Ms. Ryerson.
hearing what the use of this would be, Gig Harbor Historical Society out here, possibly Bonney Lake Historical Society. I'm not convinced that this would be able to be charged out of the water, sewer, and storm. If this use is a general fund use, you would have to put it in your general government CIP. So that's another thing to consider when you're talking about this move. I was under the impression that this was like overflow space for the water, sewer, storm employees. If it's not, then this is not an appropriate place, in my belief, for it to be funded out of.
Okay, Deputy Mayor Carter.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think at this point, it doesn't sound like there's a clear plan as to what to do with it, and therefore, I think it's not a good idea to be moving or doing anything at this point. I think something we can wait on. If we decide we need to do it in the future, we could certainly do that, but I don't see the point in doing it right now.
Okay, Councilmember Fullerton.
Yeah, and if we don't move it, then how many parking spaces are we missing out on for Allen York Park? Is it a lot or?
There hasn't been an official design done yet, so I wouldn't be able to answer that question.
Okay.
Well, per the chief, it's like 1 truck and 1 trailer. It's
Yeah.
how big those things are now.
But we could still proceed on with the rest of the parking lot, being able to make additional parking, even if we don't move that at this time.
Well, again, there's nothing in this proposed biennial budget that would create a parking lot there.
Yeah.
This is just, we
You're
approved
thinking
the,
Ballpark 4.
Yeah, Ballpark 4 we're going to do. I know
Yes,
that.
Ballpark
But then
4.
there was also up where the senior center is, around where those buildings are coming down. Eventually, that's going to become parking as well.
that would be a future budgetary decision council would have to make. Right now, it's not proposed to be turned into a parking lot.
Councilmember Baldwin.
Well, even with its location, it's located, behind that green building, aluminum building, so it's already in a very wonky spot, I feel like, just kind of back there. Okay, all right. I just want to make sure I knew which building we're talking about.
If I could add a comment. Currently, right now, we're actually using that facility. We're going to be moving, when we move to the new Public Services Center, our park staff is actually going to utilize that space, including the green building, because we don't really have a home at this time. So that'll be
Okay.
their home, including that modular that we can use for
Okay.
our staff. So we will be utilizing that space unless you approve this.
Okay, Madam Clerk, make sure we get wonky spot into the record, and we'll pass that by our city attorney to see if we have a legal definition for that.
This is legal jargon.
Okay, we ready to vote?
Mhm.
Okay, all in favor of accepting the modular water sewer storm building, say aye.
Nay.
Okay.
was gonna
I
say,
believe
I know you're a
nobody
nay.
has said aye. Okay. Any opposed?
Nay.
Okay, so I believe it's unanimous in the negative. All right, meter replacement program.
All right, this is next one is our meter accelerating our meter replacement program. As you know, we're transitioning to radio read meters. This would add an additional $70,000 a year to accelerate that process so that we would be able to completely radio read by the end of 2024.
Any discussion? Councilmember Baldwin.
When the original meter replacement, program began, was this something that just wasn't fully budgeted for, and that's why it's coming now where we haven't installed, 2,500 of them? Or I'm just kind of curious, if I'm wondering why it seems like there isn't enough money for that, and now more is needed. Yeah, go ahead.
For this request, we've actually been doing this meter replacement program for the last few years, and we did have a targeted amount. What this is going to allow us to do is go from 3 years down to 2 years. We're finding that the pricing has actually increased a lot. This year, we were averaging about 1,100. We only got about 900 meters that we got to install this year because of pricing. So
Okay.
elevating the schedule helps us with the dollar amount, and also it helps with that AMI program of trying to elevate that and push that forward.
Okay.
All right, thank you, Mr. Neuhauser. Do we have any further discussion? Councilmember Fullerton.
Yeah, so the new meters, do they actually benefit the people that are having them installed on their house? Or is this something that could be, say, electronically turned off? Should they not, if they get to like a certain level of water use and we decide that they're using too much water, then can that meter be turned off so that they can no longer access their water?
So there's no shut-off mechanism built into the meters.
Okay.
So we would have no ability to manipulate the meters. The only thing that we're able to do is we can go out there and read them, of course. If we need to prevent somebody from taking water, then the meter just gets removed altogether.
Hey, Councilmember McClymons, did I see your hand? Okay, no. Councilmember Swatman.
Yeah, and also, of note that these meters do allow the individuals to get very granular data if they wanted to get that. I don't know if they still have to pay for that, or sometimes the city's nice enough to read and they can tell them hours of usage and different things on there. So they're pretty handy in that. They are, expensive, but if that's what they're going to do, and we need to have a consistent network of them to make sense. Otherwise, you end up with touch reads, manual. I don't know if there's no manuals left probably now. They're all touch reads, I would imagine.
Yeah, I believe there is. And the meters that they're putting in now, actually, Councilmember Swatman, are ones that we had discussed at CDC some time ago. These are the ultrasonic meters. I don't know if you recall that.
Oh, you did change to
conversation.
those?
Is that correct, Todd? Yes, ultrasonic meters?
Really?
Yep.
Oh,
Yeah.
very good.
So we've moved ahead in technology.
This is the best thing since cash-based budgeting.
Yes. Deputy Mayor Carter.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My understanding of this too is that this is what's helping us move to a monthly billing cycle, so that we don't have to send employees out to read every single meter and switch it up, because there's so many of those reads that have to happen each month and whatnot.
They
Right.
still have to drive by.
Yeah, you have to.
Yeah, you still have to drive by. I think that's easier than walking
Okay.
up to the meter and writing it down.
Yeah,
It takes
right.
less time, right? So
Yeah, less time. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
it's definitely a step forward.
And if people didn't understand the difference, Mr. Johnstone mentioned the ultrasonic meters. You know, those are no moving parts, by the way. So the only thing probably is the battery needs to be replaced every, 5 years, 10 years, whatever it is. As opposed to the meters that we have today, which actually have moving parts in them, they do wear out.
Okay, Councilmember Baldwin.
I'm not technologically literate, but I am curious. I am surprised that someone still has to drive by, and, drive by the meter. Are there no meters that just send data, to the city? I was really surprised that you still have to have someone drive by.
You need a network. You need a way to communicate to them.
So Councilmember Swavin's exactly right, and it's ultimately where we want to go. What you're talking about is what I call a fixed base radio system. I think there's several different words for it in the industry, but where we want to get to, and we can only do after we've gotten all the touch reads out of our system, all the manual read meters out of the system, is we want to be able to go to a system that essentially allows our utility billing folks to, and I'm simplifying it a little bit, but hit a button, it reads all the meters automatically and dumps that information into our utility billing system. The problem with that, Jack's been working on this a little bit, is that right now with where we're at, it is expensive to go to. There's a series of repeaters that would need to be installed around towns because of our topography. We miss some of those meters when we press that button.
Okay.
So it is an investment, but it ultimately is where we want to go.
Okay.
Any further discussion? Oh, Councilmember Climens.
Yeah, so I have two questions. Are these meters insured?
In what way?
Well, I had a tree fall on the meter in front of my house, and I got a new meter. I could tell because I used to have
Imagine
a
it's city
city one, and then
property,
I
so
got
if they
no
fail, they
spinny
replace
stuff,
it for free.
So,
Yeah, I don't know of any insurance policy necessarily. Certainly, if it's infrastructure that's within the right of way and it gets damaged like that, I mean, we'll come out and replace it.
Sure.
I don't know that there's any reimbursement mechanism for the city.
Okay.
no warranty
All right.
or anything?
However, if you drive over it with your concrete truck, they're going to have a conversation.
Yeah. Okay.
One more question.
Oh, yes, Councilmember.
So it says this comes out of the water fund. So does that mean that adds $140,000 liability to our budget?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we have Ms. Ryerson nodding. And Mr. Buck.
Smiling too.
Oh. Okay, let's take it to a vote. All in favor of accepting the meter replacement program, say aye. Aye. How many ayes did we get? Everybody, Deputy Mayor Carter. Okay, that's yes, aye. So that has passed. Oh, all opposed? Any opposed?
Well, if they all were unanimous, like
Yes.
a deduction, kind of like reading your water bill.
Okay, Mr. Boddicker.
Next item we have is engineering services for SCADA system improvements to the water system to the tune of $44,000 and $44,500 split across the biennium.
Okay, Councilmember Fullerton.
What is SCADA?
Supervisor control and data acquisition.
Bingo. That's it.
Looked it up. It was very interesting.
I'm a SCADA engineer is the only reason I know.
Oh, there you go. It's your bailiwick.
What's a bailiwick?
Oh, that would.
2 bushels divided amongst.
All right, are we ready to take this to a vote? Councilmember Baldwin.
Because this is the section of decision cards that are coming out of the water fund, do we know how much these decision cards are going to potentially affect customers, or is that that's too complicated to even have a trajectory of right now? Because it seems to me, especially on the last one, this may be then a hit to we're passing on the hit to the people, and so I'm just curious what that would be.
Anybody have an answer?
Asking, but...
Okay, Councilmember McClymans.
Oh, I can't answer that.
Oh, okay.
I was just going to say that in working with our consultant that's doing the rate study, we've given them this list of proposed projects, so they will bake that into their calculations.
Okay.
But I can't say that we've, gotten down to that level where we can say SCADA is going to be a 0.3% increase in your water rates.
And I think also to add to that, one of the things to consider is the size of the expenditure versus some of the other expenditures we're having to make in the water utility. You know, that at the same time, we've got 2 reservoirs that need to be constructed over the next 2 years, and those are $14 million roughly.
Right.
Yeah.
So in light of that, I
Yeah.
think the impact is relatively low, comparatively speaking. But certainly, it's a liability that needs to be paid for by the water utility.
Well, because the last one is going to be almost 2 million, and so I'm kind of the last decision card.
Oh,
That's the sewer fund,
Oh, that's coming out of a.
and that's already budgeted in the sewer
Okay.
fund. It's in green. Yeah.
Okay, that's good.
We just wanted to make you aware of the reason why some of this stuff is costing so much. We're getting an increase on some capital items there.
Okay.
Councilmember Swap.
So I don't know, there isn't anything per se broke in the SCADA world, really. It's more of a maintenance kind of thing, right? You know, which you normally do because you want to have your good contractors available to do things as, you know, because if people aren't aware, it changes all the time. You know, you get different cars, different devices out there that you need to treat differently. The operational people will notice things that need to be changed. So that's kind of the reason I think that they're putting this in here, is to make sure that they have monies available so that they can get those professional services. It's the reason it's not fixes. I don't want somebody to think that things are broken that they need to fix. They have to have these monies for the ongoing maintenance.
Councilmember Watson, I thought I saw Councilmember McClymon's hand. Did you have your hand? Okay, Councilmember Watson.
Just real quick, our SCADA system is valuable to us. It's control. We let us know what's going on with our pumps for the whole city. We used to go to all the different pumping stations and manually change them, check them out. Now, as you talked about, our meter reads, this lets us be able to tell what's happening with that. And they finally got them all upgraded to the SCADA. They've got new changes to keep it fixed and working better for us. So it's saves a lot of labor and time.
Well, I'm all about maintenance.
Yeah, it's important.
So were these defects?
They weren't defects, I don't think. I don't know what.
Just upgrades.
They were just the normal.
These weren't defects. We actually have a contract for emergency services, and these are items we found that could be enhanced in the system, better trending, giving us the total numbers of the water and the usage of our equipment. So this is actually more improvements, and instead of paying to train our staff to have them be recruited and taken away, this is the best way for us to bring a professional in, do that work for us, and get done and get out.
Okay, any further discussion? All right, let's take it to a vote. All in favor of the SCADA fixes, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
So we have, Deputy Mayor Carter, were you an aye or a nay? I missed that.
I'm an aye.
Okay, so 6-1.
It was like way up there.
Next item we have is laptops and associated hardware, software for the field staff.
Any discussion? Councilmember McClymonds.
Have we explored using a mobile phone for this?
We have when they're out in the field and they need to look at as-built or trying to fill out work orders, a mobile phone screen is just really too small to be able to pull up a neighborhood as-built or designs of some of these water stations and effectively use even a large phone isn't anywhere near the size of a tablet or a laptop. And that's really primarily what they're looking for, is to be able to look at those maps on a larger screen out in the field. So the laptops make the most sense. For the last couple of years, we've tried out like 7-inch Android tablets, and they've just been kind of problematic. They just really have not worked out. They're, the guys will say, that I have to move the screen around, and it's just still too small of a form factor for them to be effective out in the field. So a laptop screen, and have them have full capabilities of being able to remote back in, being either on the SCADA side of our network to be able to look at pump stations, as well as the city data side to be able to fill out city works, work orders. All that really works well, much better on a laptop still. Unfortunately, we're not quite there yet where you can do everything effectively on a smaller device.
How will they make the network connection?
They will use a hotspot on their city-issued cell phone. with a VPN back into our network.
Councilmember Swatman.
Let's see. Oh, why is it 20 and 1,000 in 1 year and 7,000 in the next? Rounding.
They're just splitting the cost. It looks like what they're in, and I'm just looking at the decision card. In 2023, they're also upgrading their Neptune belt receivers. So right now, the belt receivers are a version 2, which is somewhat limiting. They're older. They don't, for example, if they wanted to read on an iOS device, well, it's not supported on version 2. It's only supported on version 3 or above. So part of the 23, which adds a little bit to the price, is replacing those version 2 belt receivers or transmitters with the newer version.
If I could add in too,
Yes.
that belt receivers, that's for the AMI receivers that we talked about, for the monthly meter reads. So it's going to be split up evenly for the laptops, or for the first year, for the next, and then we got the AMI system. It's something that we need to replace.
Any further discussion? Okay, let's take it to a vote.
One question.
Yes, Councilmember Fuller.
Does that also help with the meter reading?
Yes.
For the new meters or whatever?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. All in favor of accepting new laptop software, say aye.
Aye.
Any nays?
Nay.
Okay, so 6-1.
All right, the next item is the replacement of our cross-connection software. Again, another software system that is outdated, no longer supported, and so this would move it to the next generation version of the software.
Okay, Councilmember Swatman.
So is this like cloud-based service or something that we're subscribing to?
In a sense, yes. So we went from Tokay to XC2 about 6 months after we went live on XC2. This company bought out XC2 and said, "Hey, come and use our product." And we said, "No, you're crazy. We just bought into you." They're finally sunsetting the XC2 product, and so we're kind of forced to move to this product. But this product right now, XC2 is housed here locally. It's on one of our SQL servers. We run the whole thing. The new process is it's up in the cloud. We just access it via the web, and I'll let Jack explain anything more.
Yeah, I'll give more detail on that. And appreciate that. Yeah, so the City of Sumner also uses this Swift Comply software. And what the software will actually do is not only can it do the actual cross connection, but there's going to be future capabilities of our fog program that oils and grease, and then potentially maybe for the storm, if they have an additional project that comes in. But then also what happens is it ties into the City of Sumner, because as they're going to be using Swift Comply to do the fog program, we have to integrate with that partnership anyway for the sewer side. So it just kind of really makes sense that we
So some of the council members hate TLAs. So for the Swift and compliance, again, remind me, I can't even, sewer,
the fat oils and grease, the fog program.
Yeah.
So basically, whenever there's like a restaurant, we actually have to go out and inspect the devices they use to separate the grease. But it's something that we do right now per code, and it's something we're going to continue on.
And since we flow into Sumner's sewer plant, they're using the same thing. So that way, when they complain that we're not doing our job, we can say, well, you got it right there. It's right here.
Right. We'll be able to partner with them because they have the same software.
Yeah.
The same language.
Well, I'm going to call you up, Mr. Niehauser, so we can have a rousing discussion on grease separation. I have no idea what you separated from. I guess water, right?
Yep.
I'm not sure.
Indeed.
So it doesn't go down the sewer.
Yes. Okay. Any further discussion on the matter? Councilmember McClymans.
So how much do we pay a year now for the XC2?
That was one.
I don't have that information up front.
Okay.
$5,727.
Okay, so this is going to $10,000 a year, right?
Yeah.
Right. So I was just
have
wondering.
No idea.
Pardon me?
I don't know. I'm sorry. Either.
It is a increase because they're hosting our data instead of me hosting the data.
Okay.
So that we are paying an additional because of the hosting. fee because they're going to pass that fee on to us. But and I'm kind of looking at Tris because I know that she pays the bill, but she pays a million bills, so she can pull it off the top of her head. It's not cheap. Their maintenance is XE2. I can't remember exactly, but so we're not talking a major order of magnitude difference, but it may be somewhere in the 6,000 range right now. That's a ballpark guess.
The biggest thing is, as of April 30th, they will no longer support us. And when we evaluated a whole bunch of different programs, they're the ones that kind of moved up to the top, the Sumner and the capabilities of it.
Yep. Anytime you can get anything in the cloud.
Okay. Are we ready to take it to a vote? Okay, all in favor to accept the cross-connection database, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, looks like we had a unanimous, any opposed? Okay, looks like it was a unanimous vote. I need to stop getting ahead of myself. I want to stay positive instead of getting the opposition. Okay, control valve.
Yeah, the next item we have is additional funds for the repair and maintenance of our over 117 water system control valves.
Any discussion? Councilmember Watson.
So why are we doing this? We already have control valves now. Are we changing what we have now, or why? Just additional supplies to maintain what we have, or?
Right now, we have a program where we actually maintain it. We basically clean out the existing control valves. What this is going to do is kind of the next steps. We have a lot of copper that lines as part of it that causes a lot of leaks. What's happening in the industry is you replace them with plastic. And so now we're going to go out and actively replace them with plastic, kind of rebuild them, going along with the actual cleaning. And that's to get rid of the leaks and actually change them up.
Okay, Councilmember McClymons.
So what happens if we don't pass this?
We still have a program where we're going to be cleaning them, but there's going to be leaks out there, and we're going to have to spend the time to go out and fix it.
Councilmember Fullerton, and then Councilmember Swan.
How much do the leaks actually affect everything? Like as far as water use, or is it like a big leak or little tiny droplets? Is this something that overall is going to affect the price of the water?
There is big cost to these beaters. Or these valves. I think a few weeks ago we had a 2-inch that cost about $2,000 just to replace. They can go up to what I heard was about 16 inches, and it's going to be significant cost. So for us to be able to maintain this proactively, it's going to help reduce that cost. So I don't have a number for you right now, but it's for us to be more proactive in what we're doing.
Councilmember Swatman.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of trying to understand. So you've identified a new maintenance issue that needed to be addressed. So because we went through, our water plan and we based our rates off of a certain amount of maintenance activities and all that type of stuff. So you're basically saying this is a new maintenance thing that we need to do.
Exactly.
Is that what it is? Oh, okay.
Okay, any further discussion? Okay, let's take it to a vote. All in favor of accepting the control valve decision card, say aye.
Aye.
How many ayes? That was kind of a lackluster aye.
That's about what it is, too.
Yeah.
Why don't we raise our hands for
I'm
the
not gonna-
ayes? That way we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, all opposed?
Nay.
We have 2 nays, so 5-2.
You guys. Nice. Those are the guys that pay in the higher water rates.
All right, let's move on to the confined space supply.
Yeah, and the next item we have is an additional supplies for our confined space entry program, buying a rectangular vault tripod, replacing harnesses, and then gas detectors.
Any discussion? Councilmember Fullerton.
So this is equipment.
Yes, this is
Needed
equipment,
to-
so when you go
for-
into
for
confined
our
space.
Public Works Department to be able to do their job properly and safely.
Correct.
Not die.
Okay, Councilmember Swatman.
Yeah, I'm glad to see that, safety is of concern, honestly, in Public Works. You guys always get a hard time. We do a lot of confined space entries in our line of industry also. But that being said, this is a requirement, a safety kind of an issue that why would it end up here in an added thing? I would wonder why, it's it's required, probably wish it has requirements built around it. And so why is it an ask? Why isn't it something that, yeah, we're not going to compromise on safety. If it needs to be there, it needs to be there. You figure out how, and you wouldn't ask for it. I'm not going to say, well, don't do this safe, right? How does that work?
There's this additional cost. The actual lift is about $8,000, and it was definitely more than the 10. And so we needed to actually account for that. And so because of that, yeah, we want to be proactive again and actually add this.
But it would be done. That's my contention, that, it would be something you would do in your normal, course of work.
Yes, we do actually pay attention to the safety aspects of that stuff, but because of the increased costs, especially for the lift, that $8,000 pushed it over the top for us when we actually did the estimates. So we added it.
Oh, so the kind of the total, basically, it's here because it gets over that $10,000 requirement thing.
Okay, ready to take it to a vote? Okay, all in favor of accepting the confined space supplies, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, we have a very enthusiastic aye, so he counts for 2. Any opposed?
Nay.
Does that work? Does that count for 3?
It's going for 7.
I believe we're accepting the sillies now. We had good thing we only have 2 more to go.
Then we need to get through the sewer.
Oh, okay. Yes.
I'm a yay.
Okay.
He was for it before you.
Please forgive me. Yeah, I'm flip-flopping.
So the next item is
The multiple funds plotter, yes.
yeah. Next item is replacement of a plotter that is over 10 years old.
Okay. Councilmember Baldwin.
Okay, I want to make sure I'm looking at this correctly, that there were 3 previous plotters, or 2 previous plotters. I thought I saw that there was a third.
Yeah.
Oh, third floor. Sorry about that. And then now the ask is for, how many did I count here?
1.
Really? Am I looking at this?
Hopefully.
Is it saying 1320, 1320?
Oh, that's the prices split amongst those different funds. So it's 1 plotter.
Oh my word,
Cost
the
is-
plotter is 10,000.
Yeah, they are.
That's a relatively middle of the road.
Yeah, that's not
Yeah.
even a government
I was like,
rate.
oh, a
That's a good
$1,000
price.
plotter.
They get really good rates off the government.
Just to give you an idea, these plotters, these are
I saw some
mounted on a
pictures.
cart, and
Yes.
they will print full-size plans and all that kind of stuff. So,
Very interesting.
And they scan.
and they scan it. And just to maybe dive into the description here a little bit more, Public Services has 2. One was with our engineering, building and planning, permitting folks. One is with our Public Works division. The one that Public Works had was one that was, we just finally can't get parts for it. Adam, our GIS analyst, rebuilt it, I think, shortly after I started here at the city.
Okay.
And it continued to soldier on for some time, and it's just dead now. And the other plotter that we currently have is on its last legs. It is due for replacement. I worked with Chuck on this one a little bit. And this is going in and out. I don't know if you can. He's trying to cut me off.
That's your time.
But that's the backup. But
Do we have the microphones on the budget tonight?
just batteries.
It's just batteries, yeah.
No, yeah, right.
Councilmember Swatman.
Yeah, and of note, of course, it's very handy for public information at times when needed, because it can print some very nice maps and different displays of large format to inform the public about issues at times. So it does that also.
Yeah, I watched some videos. Very interesting.
This must be me. Just to add to that as well, we also actually end up doing some work for some of the other departments. Sometimes Adam is asked to furnish. I evidently don't know how to use a microphone. So we're going to go to the third microphone because I've worn the other 2 out. Anyways, are you kidding?
Your pacemaker.
Anyways, if we could all just vote yes and move on, that would.
There you go. There you go.
Any further discussion on the matter? All right, Councilmember Baldwin.
Okay, so in a realistic sense, you're about to have a plotter die. You want another plotter, but it'll be the only plotter, and eventually you're probably going to need another plotter. Or is this the one that's going to be
This is the backup, I think.
oh, I feel like
I think we're going to be good for one.
Okay.
Now they're all in the same building.
All right, let's take the vote before the microphone completely dies. Oh, yes, Deputy Mayor Carter.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Sorry, I just had a question just as to how often this is used. How, I'm sure you guys use it a lot or whatnot, but like how often are we actually printing out plans and things that are, this size, large, scanning, all that kind of stuff?
They're used daily to one degree or another. We're constantly using the plotters.
Do we use it for anybody else? Any other cities come over and ask us, hey, can we get you to print something off for us?
We do.
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Mayor. Okay, thank you. I was actually just telling Mr. Johnstone and Mr. Niehauser earlier that Adam, the GIS person, actually, we had a case that was very likely going to trial on Friday. Got continued for other reasons. But he very kindly made us some fantastic maps for the DUI trial to show where this person was driving. And, that's something where we can have it printed out and show to the jury, and it looks fantastic. Jury members usually like seeing the maps. We've used maps that he's produced in the past for prior trials, and it's really nice. One of the elements we have to show is that the crime was committed within the city limits of Bonney Lake, and it helps the jury really orient themselves. So it's not just their department that uses it. It's other, the whole team in Bonney Lake, other departments as well can use this as well.
Yes, and you should appreciate that, Deputy Mayor Carter. So,
I do. That was one of the questions I was asking. I wanted them to explain what a big deal it is. It actually, we use it here as well. So I know it's a big deal. I just kind of wanted to give them an opportunity to explain what they do and why.
Okay, thank you. Are we ready to take a vote? All right, I didn't even wait for an answer. But are we, let's take a vote, and all in favor of accepting the multiple funds plotter, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, looks like that was accepted unanimously. Now we go to the Tacoma Water Supply.
Yeah, the last one in the water fund for tonight is the Tacoma Water Fund increase in costs. Like every place else, the cost of water is going up, and they put us on notice that they are increasing their cost to us wholesale customers. And so this is increasing the Tacoma Water Supply budget. You'll notice it's listed in green. So again, that means it's already included in the mayor's proposed budget.
Any discussion?
It's part of that contract, right? It's
Yes.
not like we really have a choice.
When I would show.
Yeah. Okay, let's take it to a vote. All in favor of accepting the Tacoma Water Supply decision card, say aye.
Aye.
And all opposed? Okay, it looks like that was accepted unanimously as well.
All right, on to the sewer fund.
Yes.
We have 4 more for tonight, and that'll get us through the decision cards for this budget cycle.
Okay, I don't have anything on the sewer fund. Oh, that's okay. If anything had to be missed, I'm glad it's the sewer fund.
So this is replacing 2 portable generators to be used at sewer lift stations.
Okay, do we have any discussion on the matter? Okay, let's take it to a vote. And where are we? The portable Jennifer?
Question over here.
Oh, yes, Councilmember Swatman.
These are additional that weren't in the previous sewer budget again, is that what? Because we had those scheduled out, or how does?
We have 4 portable generators right now, and they're about 36 years old. Service life is about 35 years. And so what we want to do is replace 1 a year, because now that it's past our service life, and especially with the new projects coming in, like redoing the station at 17, we're actually going to need this. So that's what this is for.
Yeah, but again, of course, we did the sewer comp plan recently and based our rates on that. Right? So this is another one of those questions where it would cause further pressure on the rate increase or needs of the. These weren't in the comp plan and rate study that we did previously. These are additions. I don't know. It's a question, I guess.
Oh, excuse me.
And no, they will be new purchases.
In fact, this might be important. Deputy Mayor Carter, could you take over?
I have to take this call.
Mr. Mayor, how about we vote?
Oh, yes.
Take a recess?
Yeah, let's, how about we take a 5-minute recess? Well, I just need to find out if this is an emergency.
He's like breaking out of the window.
I second that. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
All right. All opposed?
Hey, babe.
Don't care.
Are you looking at the sewer right here?
Okay, good.
Mayor's here. We're good.
Okay. All right. The next item we have is increase in our chemical line excuse me.
Did we have a vote
Oh, did we not?
before we recessed?
We did not.
No.
Oh, we did not
Okay.
vote on generator.
So we need to take that to a vote.
And what was the description?
Oh,
Question.
portable generator.
Oh, Councilmember Clem.
So do the 4 generators, any of them work?
They work, they're just past their useful life, and it's one that it's not as efficient as it needs to be, so we'll replace it.
All 4 work.
I believe just 2 of them work at this time.
Okay.
Okay, we're ready to take it to a vote? Deputy Mayor Carter.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I guess my question is, what's the regular replacement cycle for these? Do we have an ER&R fund for this? Like, what's the, every time this needs to come to a budget to replace a generator? I'm just curious. Okay.
That's correct. At this time, we don't have a cycle because of the cost for that. So that's why we're trying to do it one at a time.
I'm not
You must have Mr. Johnson's microphone.
He's breaking all the microphones up there.
Yeah, at this time, we don't have a replacement schedule on those just because of the significant cost of that. And since it's lasting for 35 years, we thought, sure, we'll go ahead and just use it until we wear it out. But now we're past that time. It's 36 years and we got 2 of them out. So now it's time for us to do something about it. Especially with these bigger capital improvement projects coming up here, we kind of need those.
Thank you.
Okay. So let's take it to a vote. All in favor of accepting the portable generator replacement, say aye.
Aye.
We had, how many ayes did we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All opposed?
Okay.
And we have 2 nays, so 5-2.
All right. Next item we have is the bulk purchase of bioxide, which is used for odor control at our sewer lift stations.
Do we
It's a
need
good
to
thing. It's a
discuss
good
that?
thing.
Okay, Councilmember Swatman.
And again, the question why it's a 2024 as opposed to, we don't need it in 2023 because poop doesn't stink in 2023?
We actually purchased it in bulk to last for the 2 years, so we get
2
better
years.
pricing by doing that.
I guess I have to actually read the whole agenda bill according to council member.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, any further discussion? All right, let's take it to a vote. All in favor of accepting the bulk purchase of bioxide, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, it looks like we have, any opposed? Okay, that's unanimous, 7-0. So the next one would be the bubbler assessment.
I think I'll just turn this one over to Mr. Niehauser because I don't know what it does. But it's a replacement of, there's an analysis of our bubbler.
That's the piece of equipment that actually controls the pump station. It actually turns on the pumps when we need it. Currently, that is a backup, and we need to get it assessed for replacement. And so that's what this is. We're going to bring an engineer in there and see if how we control the station if this is needed.
And it's a one-time thing because I don't see it on the 2024.
Yes, it is. Correct.
All right. Any discussion on the matter? Any questions? All right, let's take it to a vote. All in favor of accepting the bubbler assessment, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, looks like that is 7-0 as well. Now, last one, what is WWTP?
The wastewater treatment plants.
Oh, there we go.
Sumner wastewater treatment plant. So this is the last decision card we have for this biennial budget process. Again, it's identified in green, so it is included in the mayor's proposed budget. As Councilmember Swatman mentioned here last week, we had our annual joint advisory committee meeting with the folks down in Sumner that we've been working much better with them. That's the way to say it. In getting projected costs, they've been much more cooperative in getting us budget numbers, and so we know what they're planning for their biennial budget process as far as budgetary cost for the wastewater treatment plant improvements. And so again, these costs are put into the mayor's proposed budget.
Okay. They must use a lot of bioxide since
They must have used it.
Councilmember Swamp was showing up. Okay. Councilmember Watson.
We've known about this coming for quite some time. Why have we not put smaller amounts into our budget in the last few years? Because it's been a while since we've talked about this coming forward. And if not, why can't we do it in the future instead of one big bulk charge like this? An awful lot. And as of your discussion with Sumner, you know what's going forward, so.
I can address that.
Ms. Ryerson.
From the budgetary perspective, Councilmember Watson, it wouldn't matter if you put small amounts aside because, again, the way the proprietary funds are is you need X amount of dollars. And so your rate is built upon that model. So it wouldn't be the same as like the general fund. The general fund, you need to budget a little differently than you do the proprietary funds.
Thank you.
And if I could just add to that, this is our cost for service to Sumner, and it's based on several components. One of those is wastewater strength, flow, and then the cost for capital improvements. So it's variable, to put it frankly. This amount is going to go up and down depending upon how much wastewater we're sending, the strength of the wastewater, which means we're calculating a percentage of the payment based on BOD and total suspended solids, and then also the projects they have programmed for that year. In 2021, Jack and I were just looking at the numbers before we came down here. In 21 and 22, these same line items were about 1.8 million each year. So obviously you can see this time around it's going to be a little bit cheaper for cost of service based on the numbers we got from City of Sumner. However, we are anticipating in 25, 26, because of some capital projects that are coming up, you'll be hearing more about at CDC. We expect that they'll be higher than this. So it's really hard to try and budget over a number of years to anticipate where this number is going to come in at.
This is for the dryer, right?
This specifically is our monthly bill we receive for treatment, and it includes a share of the capital projects that they're completing.
Okay. Thank you.
So I was going to ask about the dryer. Yeah. So this does or does not include the dryer?
It does include some of the pre-design work and the engineering that they're going through right now. Construction for that project slated for 25, 26.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Councilmember Swam.
Right. And that's what I was talking about too. So there is the dryer's money in there for the 2023 is why it's more for that. And that is again, just the design work. Cause I forget, do we have a projection on what the actual cost of the dryer is going to look like? I know they were.
Right now we're anticipating a total cost between the two cities of about $13 million.
Between it, does that mean
so
split?
We would split and take roughly half, slightly more than half of that.
That kind of a thing. Yeah. And again, the agreement's up for negotiation-ish. Well, I should not say that. I should say that they're open to, looking at it or what have you. And I know I've been long have a problem. This is essentially the nemesis of the Swatman is the sewer plant down there. And that's too much history for everyone, I'm sure. I'm going to be a no just because I think that basically, that we should tell Sumner that, yeah, this isn't working. We need to do this because, I would put it simply that if we were going to go buy a car and somebody was going to go with us, what kind of car do you think you would buy if you knew that the person standing with you was going to pay for more than half of that car? And my contention is that you would get a much more nice car than you would if you knew somebody else was going to pay for half of it. And that's kind of, there's only one sewer plant and there's two cities. That's always been a contentious area. So, yeah, I know I've kind of failed to see where that they can charge us for capital improvements and yet, we have to pay for the service. It's kind of like, okay, we subscribe to their service. So I'm kind of in the thing of like, oh, I'll pay for the service, which, you get into this. It's too complicated right now. I don't know.
I understand the whole, two cities, one sewage treatment plant, but isn't it that we don't even account for half of the customers or half of the usage? I feel like we're
Actually,
Are
we
we
account for more. Yeah, we're much larger than City of Sumner. So I think we're roughly right now about 56-57% of the total plant capacity.
I see.
As far as population, Sumner's 10 or 11, and we're 22. So
Right.
I mean, we're really 75% of the usage, I guess.
Oh.
Well, they have the industrial uses too, so, there's that strength thing, that's that weird calculation.
Councilmember Fullerton, did you,
Yeah, I was believing that the percentage about 60-40, that we pay 60%.
These estimates, these budget requests here are based on 56% share.
Okay.
So,
Because, I mean, hasn't Sumner grown quite a bit too? I mean, they've got a lot of buildings going on down there.
it is, but I'm sorry to interrupt. I didn't mean to jump in there. But I think the distinction that's important to make here is that the calculation as it currently exists in the interlocal agreement, which Councilmember Swatman's been talking about, is based on wastewater volume and then what we call strength, which is biochemical oxygen demand and total suspended solids. It doesn't take into account just the sheer number of people. So that's where the difference lies. Even if Sumner was growing more rapidly, say, than Bonney Lake, the calculation doesn't take that into consideration.
which is, well, and technically I'm not supposed to be asking questions on the substance, but since this is the last item we have tonight, I just wanted to make clear these numbers are incumbent upon the interlocal agreement that we made 10 years ago, yes?
Currently, this is just a fulfillment of the current interlocal agreement.
Okay.
It's currently included in the budget, and we're going to have to pay for the monthly service.
Right.
So I understand where Councilmember Swatman is saying a no vote, but ultimately we're going to get charged each month. And if we don't approve it and include it as part of the budget, then we're just going to have to be spending monies that are currently set aside for other things. So.
All right. Councilmember McClymons. Or Ms. Ryerson.
Just real quick, I wanted to clarify that this is the increase. I think Mr. Johnstone said that this was a decrease from the prior. It's actually not. The total bill is going to be projected at like 3.1 million for 2023. So this is the increased costs due to the projects that Ryan was talking about.
I see. Okay, now Councilmember McClymons.
So what happens if we don't pass this?
Your poop don't go away.
Yeah.
We end up in
I
court.
don't think that's what I heard. I think gravity still works, actually.
Yeah, it does, yeah.
Sumner's lower than Bonney Lake. If we don't pass this, we would be forced to.
You've been down there. They have that big valve at the bottom.
So this was just kind of, we've never included this in prior budgets for you to review. We just wanted you to see the increased costs.
All right. Councilmember Fullerton, did you?
So this is just an increase from the original contract that we already have?
This would be an increase, I believe, Sherry, correct me if I'm wrong, this is an increase over what was budgeted in 21 and 22, correct?
Correct.
Because we're taking on the capital improvement projects.
No,
right?
no. Because Sumner's deciding to buy a new car, we get to pay for part of it.
And, yeah.
So those capital expenditures that are part of what it takes to run the treatment plant, we pay for a share of that.
And we will be addressing that. Councilmember Watson.
And I've always said I don't like how the system's set up. How someone decides what we're going to pay. I'm not going to vote for this tonight. I realize it has to go through, but I'm not going to vote for it because at some point we have to be, since we're paying majority of it, we have to be able to make those decisions what we should be paying them, and they should be paying.
Well taken, Councilmember Watson. Councilmember Baldwin.
Yeah, I'm definitely seconding what I'm hearing here because I feel that it's just like what Councilmember Swatman was talking about, how they're having these capital improvement projects. We're supposed to be a customer, right, where we're paying in, but then now we're having to pay into these projects as well when we should be just paying for the service. So if we are gonna, yeah, I definitely second what
As a
I'm
tenant,
hearing.
we would be liable for any upgrades as well. And that's what we are. We're partners more than a service provider, I guess, or service user.
It's a complicated relationship, to say
Yes.
the least.
Sounds like it.
But it is an issue that we plan on addressing, Councilmember Baldwin,
With Sumner.
when we have Inslee Best come on board
Okay.
and we can do that. Councilmember Fullerton, did you have another comment?
Well, yeah, that was kind of along
Okay.
the lines of what everybody else was saying, is like, if we're, like, when we're paying for a contracted service, we pay the cost that we agreed to, but now we've got all of these increases. I'm just confused how this is a benefit.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but there's a lot of fine print in this, and I'm sure
Yeah.
legally we are obligated to pay this within that fine print. This
Kind of
isn't,
looks that way.
yeah, this isn't anything that they're throwing on us and saying, now you've got to pay for it. This was part of their planning process, and the agreement we agreed to would show that these improvements were necessary, and we were going to be responsible for a portion of those improvements throughout the duration of the contract there.
And we could be legally liable.
Yeah, for all of these increases and all of the costs that we're paying, we could build our own sewer treatment plant.
About $100 million.
I'll just say no. No, you couldn't.
Councilmember Watson.
Mr. Swatman's gone to numerous meetings, so have I gone to meetings down there too, and they bring forward, this is what we need to do each year, and that's been my problem as you're seeing too. We need new vehicles, we need another personnel, we need this, and there's not much we can say about it because they've made those decisions for us, so. Yeah, we have to as a council approve this tonight, but I'm glad you're going to look into it, Mayor, because we need to make some changes to the.
Thank you, Councilmember Swatman, or Watson, I'm sorry, Councilmember McClymonds.
I guess I hear the sentiment with the council that, this is one area where we really feel like we have to send a clear signal, a demand signal to the city of Sumner to say, that they have to consider the position we're in as far as our sewer and water rates, and that we feel like it's probably not they can do better as far as how much they charge us. But, what help can the council give the city and the staff is what's in my mind. Voting no for this is just going to be a signal to us, because I don't think city of Sumner is going to care if we voted no, because they're going to get the money. But so what do we do as a council to put the city of Sumner on notice that this council feels they're out of bounds? I mean, what tools do you need us to give you? I'd hate to see this not pass and cause work for staff when in the end they get the money, right? But on the other hand, I really would like to send a very clear signal to them, because I got the feeling it's not just the city of Sumner. It was very obvious to me that the state's also, like, if you look at this, part of their plan is, because the state's giving unfunded mandates as well, but they don't care because they're just going to pass it on to us, right? And I asked those questions there, and that was the answer I got.
Yeah.
Was, they got to have a reason to fight the state to knock it off too, just because some things are out of control.
Well, as stated before, with the firm that we have coming in, they actually do, that's one of their areas of expertise, far beyond what I would, be able to understand, since I'm in a completely different area of law. But from what we understood, one of the reasons why we hired them was because they have the expertise to negotiate these things. So we would be sending a very clear message to them starting November 1st, or within the next couple of weeks of December or November 1st when we talk with them. So it is coming about. It's something that we're not just ignoring. Councilmember Evans.
If I could get back to the point of this is a budgetary line item that we're discussing, not an interlocal agreement, which I think is where we have some teeth in that matter. What we're trying to do is, this is currently in the budget. Taking it out of the budget is going to off balance the budget, which is going to create a lot more linear issues down the road. the payments are going to be made no matter what. So this isn't so much a decision card that needs to be a yes or no on. This is currently in the mayor's budget as it is proposed. So this is more of a ancillary matter than it is a, City of Sumner agreement matter.
And I see Ms. Ryers. Deputy Mayor Carter, I see your hand up.
Both of us have had our hand up. It's okay. Thank you, Justin. That's exactly right. I think my issue was, what exactly does the agreement say? What are we obligated to pay? If we're obligated to pay it, then we need to take care of it. It's an obligation that we made because we signed it whenever it was signed, right? And then also, but when is it up? When is it due? When can we renegotiate this interlocal agreement, contract, or whatever to get a better deal, essentially, for us?
Well, I'm going to be discussing that after November 1st when we have the new firm come on board, Deputy Mayor. And Ms. Burke, our Deputy City Attorney.
Yeah, to answer your question, Deputy Mayor Carter, the interlocal agreement doesn't have an end date. But I think there's been, both cities have had the desire to renegotiate it for various reasons.
So how does that work? Who decides when you can renegotiate it? Or you say one side says yes, the other side says no, sorry, you're stuck with it?
Well, I don't think we're going to have to worry about that scenario. I think both cities are interested in renegotiating.
Yeah, they are. They are.
And Councilmember McClymons.
Yeah, so just to be clear, I can't, given where we're at, I can't see, I'm going to have to abstain here because I can't see saying don't pay the bills, but then I don't want to go on record that I support this because I do feel like we're being held up by the city of Sumner.
Well, there's also the alternative, not voting at all.
There you go.
Councilmember Swatman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. No, and of note, of working with the Sumner folks down there, they're incredibly professional and accurate and great to work with. So they're doing exactly what they're supposed to do. They just have a significant advantage, leverage over the city of Bonney Lake, in my mind. I think it would be great to come to some kind of an agreement where that they, their sewer rate, our sewer rate, it's one sewer plant, should be incredibly similar. But back to this issue tonight, it's, as the lawyer referenced, there is no, we have to have a new agreement and it expires. It's an evergreen, so it goes on forever and ever and ever. So me being as contentious as I am, I'm just like, shutting the valve off. I'm to those, to the agreement. I'm like, yeah, no, where does it say in the agreement that you have to actually pay for capital improvements? It's kind of in there. Notice, underline kind of.
Ms. Ryerson.
I'm going back to the points a couple of council members made, Member McClymons, Deputy Mayor Carter, and Councilmember Evans. Appreciate your comments about the budget process. I would prefer everyone abstain versus vote no to send a message tonight, because all you're doing is delaying my budget process in doing so. As Deputy Mayor Carter pointed out, this is already in the budget, and to remove it would cause more problems than if you all just abstained and didn't vote on this. It will be in the budget. We do have to pay the bill, so.
I do have a parliamentary question when it comes to that. These votes are not like official council votes. So it doesn't, the abstentions don't have the same effect, and we don't have to put the reasoning on the record for that. Is that correct?
That's my understanding, Mr.
Okay, good. All right, are we ready to take it to a vote?
Question.
Oh, yes, Deputy Mayor Carter.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. If everybody's going to abstain, or that's a possibility, do we even need to take a vote?
Well, we do need to have a record that we did address the issue, right?
Yeah, not necessarily, because it is included in the mayor's proposed budget.
Correct.
And you will be voting on the budget as a whole
later
on next month or so.
Well, very good. Then do we have any further discussion? Otherwise, we will move to adjourn the meeting. I'll dangle that carrot out there. Okay, seeing no more business, I move to adjourn. We are adjourned.
Good job, everybody.
Good job. I got a good discussion tonight.